Okay, humans, here is the second part of my little series of 5 on addictions and substance abuse. We're still talking about wine, and today this part is mostly focusing on texts from the Han Dynasty, which would be Neijing, which is Língshū and Sùwèn, and also Shānghán Lùn and Jīnguì Yàolüè, two books by Zhang Zhongjing. And so that's what we're talking about today. I will admit that some of Sùwèn is hard to understand for me, probably for you too, but for me. So, there's some areas that I don't have confidence in my translation, but, let's see what we have. Okay, so Sùwèn chapter 1 has a lot of stuff about Yangsheng or nourishing life, and it warns us that we shouldn't drink wine like it's some health foods, like it's broth, soup broth or something like that. And we should also avoid having sex while drunk, which is, how I thought most people have sex. But anyway, these things can cause premature aging. And then in other chapters of Neijing, sometimes they mention wine as part of the treatment of disease, but we kind of talked about how wine can be useful in part 1 of this series, so I didn't translate every mention of wine in Neijing. Okay, so here we have Sùwèn chapter 45. And this is the best I can do with translation. I do rely on, Unchil's translation and so forth. I don't copy it, but if I don't understand something, I try to see what he has to say. And I still sometimes don't always understand. So let's see what this one has to say. When wine enters the stomach, and remember, wine could mean distilled alcohol in this case too. The stomach's wall vessel is full, but the jing, the channel, is deficient. Spleen moves the body fluids, the jin ye, for the stomach. When yin qi is deficient, then yang qi is going to come in and, fill in the empty space. When yang qi enters, the stomach has disharmony. When the stomach is not happy, Jing Qi is exhausted. So, or Jing and Qi or Jing Qi. So, one of the main meanings of Jing is kidneys, essence. And in the next, slide, it does specifically mention the kidneys. So I guess if your post heaven is not working well, then your body steals from pre heaven. So Jing becomes exhausted. And when Jingqi is exhausted, it does not nourish the 4 limbs. And it uses the word ying, which is the same as ying qi, the type of qi that flows in the channels. But here it seems to be a verb and not, ying qi. Alternately, jing, they talk about food essence, the jing of food. So this could be referring to some kind of essence of food or essence of the stomach. But in any case, we can see that it affects, it like yin becomes deficient, yang becomes excess. And so, there's disharmony here. We always worry about stomach yin being deficient and so forth. So continuing with this same chapter, this person frequently enters the bedroom when drunk. Again, we have a warning about, you shouldn't have drunken sex all the time. When drunk and full, full from eating a meal and so forth. So qi gathers in the spleen and can't scatter. Spleen can't transform and transport. The wine qi struggles with the qi from food. Qi from food is called gu qi, which means grain qi. But this in part can mean grains literally, but it also can mean food qi and the qi from food in general. So, wine's qi is struggling with the qi from food or the qi from grains. And when there's a struggle between qi, then heat develops. So heat fills the center and then heat fills the entire body. So there's internal heat, which makes the urine become dark, reddish color. And once wine qi fills up, wine is swift and bold. It's kind of aggressive. We saw that Bansao Gangmu says it's toxic and it makes qi and blood move more fast, so it's swift. Yeah. So kidney qi becomes feeble and yang qi excels by itself. And so the hands and feet are hot. So while this is kidney qi, it may be still talking about kidney yin is feeble and yang is excessive. And so there's heat in the body. So that was that chapter. This is from a different chapter. This is from Língshū chapter 10. When someone drinks wine, wei qi first moves to the skin. First, it fills in the Wu vessels. So the Wu vessels become full first. Thus, once wei qi is calmed down, then ying qi will be full and the channels will be very full. So ying qi flows in the channels and wei qi here is flowing in the Wu vessels. That's not the way, is mostly taught today, but that's what Língshū chapter 10 says. And so when they drink wine, then, people get flushed, especially a lot of Asian people get that alcohol flush. And so the Wu vessels are full and hot. And so the face becomes red, I guess. And, then it talks about yin qi filling up the channels. Well, I told you I don't totally understand all of this, the implications of all of this, but that's more or less what it says. Okay, here is what is this one? From Língshū chapter 18. So Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, asked, when people drink wine, the wine also enters the stomach, also because in addition to food, okay? And so even when grain or food is not yet digested, why does urine descend by itself first and not stool? I think this is asking, like, when people drink, why do they have to pee so much, even though they're eating? The food, the solids of the food make the bowel movement, and the liquids of, the alcohol makes urination. But even if, they're still digesting their food, the urination is quick and the stool is slower. I think that's what the question is. So Chibo replies, wine is the liquid of processed grain. Because remember, Chinese wine is rice wine or from other grains. So it's not from grapes. So it's literally from grain. Its qi is fierce and clear. So if one drinks it after eating food or grain, it's fiercer, it's swifter, we saw in the previous thing. So the liquid comes out, the solid is slow and the liquid is quick. So you have to urinate. And then this is an interesting chapter. This is Língshū chapter 50, a discussion of bravery. You know how people get drunk and then pick a fight even with a bigger person? That's kind of what it's talking about here. Huangdi said, when a timid person drinks wine and gets angry, he does not avoid a brave person. What organ is responsible for this? A weakling, a timid person should probably avoid picking a fight with a brave, aggressive person. So one of Huangdi's advisors, named Xiao Yu, says, wine is the essence of water and grain, the liquid of processed grain, because, it comes from rice, okay? Its qi is swift and bold. When it enters the stomach becomes descended, and therefore stomach qi counterflows upward. That fills up the chest. The liver is unstable and the gallbladder is unrestrained. And remember, gallbladder is courage. So at that time, this person who drank wine emulates a brave person. He feels like he's a brave person. He can act like a brave person. When the wine qi weakens, he regrets thinking of himself as a brave person, and he regrets not knowing that he should have avoided a fight. This is called wine delusion. Okay, let's move on to Shānghán Lùn and Jīnguì Yàolüè. So this is just a bunch of random stuff strung together. It's not like it has one theme all the way through, but I just, one way to study something is to go back to the classics first. And so that's what I'm doing. Anyway, if a heavy drinker is sick, you can't give them guizhitang. That'll make them vomit. And if they take that decoction, because heavy drinkers don't like the sweet flavor. So, a heavy drinker gets a wind attack, guizhitang's not appropriate. Jīnguì Yàolüè has a chapter on jaundice. And so it's talking about jaundice here with anguish in the heart, which I'm not totally clear. What does anguish in the heart mean? Is it like a physical sensation? Is it some kind of heart pain, or is it emotional anguish? That's what it says, anguish in the heart. So if somebody has jaundice with this anguish in the heart, heat, inability to eat, and occasional desire to vomit, this is called wine jaundice, jaundice due to wine. Wine disease with jaundice, so wine disease is, disease from drinking too much, will have difficult urination. Its symptoms will include heat in the heart and heat on the bottom of the feet. This is the condition. Some people with wine jaundice, though, don't have heat, but they have clear speech, abdominal fullness, desire to vomit, and dry nose. If the pulse is floating, then you should make them vomit. If the pulse is sunken and wiry, you should induce a bowel movement, which the word in Chinese literally means descend. When you make qi descend, then the stool will come down and out. So someone with wine jaundice and heat in the heart with desire to vomit will recover when they vomit. Okay. You have to drink pretty much to get jaundice from drinking. Anyway, so there's a formula for wine jaundice with anguish in the heart and perhaps hot pain. And this formula is called Zhizhi Dahuang Tang, which, zhizhi is gardenia seed and dahuang is rhubarb root. And it's got two other herbs, zhishi, some kind of citrus thing, and dandochi, which is the fermented soybeans. Boil the above 4 ingredients in 6 sheng of water, however much a sheng was during the Han Dynasty, but boil it down to 2 sheng. That's a lot of boiling, from 6 down to 2. Divide it into 3 doses and take it while it's warm. So Jīnguì Yàolüè somewhere else says, heavy drinkers who cough end up spitting blood. This is due to drinking too much. Yeah, okay. Okay, so like I said, that was just a bunch of random quotes from the Han Dynasty. And I have a little case here. It's, not a case from the Han Dynasty. It's actually a case from Li Dongyuan in he's famous for writing Jīnguì Lùn, the discussion of spleen and stomach, but this is from a different book of his. But it kind of uses some principles from Nanjing, so therefore put it here because I didn't know where else to put it. Anyway, so this is a case. The anterior yin of a rich person. So anterior yin means the genitals. Okay, so in this case, we assume this is a male. So this is the penis, or penis and testicles. But here we're really talking about the penis. So the anterior yin of a rich person had a sao odor. In 5-element theory, there are 5 odors, one for each of the 5 elements, and sao is one of them. People translate it differently. It's the odor of urine, which makes sense that a penis could have the odor of urine. Or it's sometimes translated as an animal odor, the smell of dogs or foxes or something like that. And this was related to drinking alcohol every day. His abdomen was not harmonious. So, he had some digestive issues, I guess. He asked my late teacher, who Li Dongyuan's one of his teachers was Zhang Jiegu, and he asked Zhang, to treat him. And Zhang said, the anterior yin is the foot shui yin liver channel vessel, which networks with and follows the penis. It's true. The liver channel loves the genitals. The liver's main channel, its channel divergence, its Wu vessel, its channel sinew, all of those go to the genitals. So the liver really loves the genitals. And so he's associating then this with liver, which is wood. And so the liver channel emerges at the end of the penis. Whenever there are odors, they're governed by the heart. So this is something that probably you say, oh, I thought like odors belong to the nose because of the sense of smell. And actually, that's what I think Neijing says. But Nanjing chapter 40 says that odors are governed by the heart. So is that a typo? Did they, was there some copying error where they didn't mean heart, but they wrote heart, or did they really mean it? I don't know. But that is what Nanjing says. So, whenever there are odors, they're governed by the heart and they scatter in the 5 directions. This is the 5 odors. What that means is, kind of the image is that, the odors are correspond to the heart, but if an odor goes towards the north, it will be the kidney's odor. If an odor goes towards the east, it will be the liver's odor, and so forth. So one of these 5 odors enters the liver as this urine smell or this animal smell that he's having. So now he's talking about heart as governing the odors in general and liver as associated both with the penis and with this particular odor. So what's he do? Actually, surprisingly, acupuncture, because these old doctors mostly did herbs. He says we should drain liver 2, Xingjian, on the liver channel to treat the root. Okay, so liver 2 is the fire point, fire's heart. On the liver channel, liver's wood. And then we should drain heart 9 on the heart channel as the branch. So heart belongs to odors, fire, and the odor is wood associated, and heart 9 is the wood point. So both of these points are fire and wood points. The fire point on the wood channel and the wood point on the fire channel. If he doesn't want to be needled, we can use herbs to eliminate it. And actually, this Longdan Shegan Tang is a much later formula, but commentary says that would be the formula. Okay, but that's not what Li Dongyuan said, because that's a later formula, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, the qi and flavor of alcohol are both yang. It's hot and it's acrid, among other things. So it's got a yang qi, meaning hot, and a yang flavor, like acrid. And they can engender internal damp heat. This wind, damp, and heat combine in the lower jiao as evils. So the classic says the lower jiao is like a drainage ditch. The upper jiao is mist, the middle jiao is like a muddy pool, and the lower jiao is like a drainage ditch. And the classic also says guide evils in the lower body out and exhaust them. Alcohol is the liquid of damp heat, so one should remove it by letting it run out of the anterior yin. So he's actually trying to promote urination to drain this damp heat out of the body, but of course, urination takes place through the penis in people who have penises. Of course, if you don't have a penis, it comes out, through other named parts of, genitals. Anyway, so yeah, this is kind of interesting formula. It is using 5 elements, but it's not using what we think of this standard mother-son kind of idea. Even though heart 9 is a mother point and liver 2 is a son point, it doesn't seem to be selecting them for that reason. or maybe you could think we're draining the liver and supplementing the heart, but I don't know that that makes sense in the draining the liver makes sense. Supplementing the heart, I'm not so sure that makes sense here. I think they're just using wood and fire because heart governs it, but this is specific to liver. Well, okay, that's my second part of this series on addictions and the second part on wine. And so we'll have, more discussion, mostly about gehua and that other herb Hovinia that is supposed to, we'll have some formulas about like treating alcohol related issues related to some certain specific herbs that even today are still used to treat alcohol issues. Okay, thanks.